6-year-old self what death was. She knew now, he supposed, or not. Brunetti was prone to believe that the awfulness of death lay precisely in the absence of consciousness, that the dead ceased to know, ceased to understand, ceased to anything. His early life had been filled with myth: the little Lord Jesus asleep in his bed, the resurrection of the flesh, a better world for the good and faithful to go to. His father, however, had never believed. That had been one of the constants of Brunetti's childhood. He was a silent non-believer who made no comment on his wife's evident faith. He never went to church, absented himself when the priest came to bless the house, did not attend his children's baptisms, first communions, or confirmations. When asked about the subject, the elder Brunetti muttered, "Sciocchezze," or "roba di donne," and did not pursue the topic, leaving his two sons to follow him if they wanted, in the conviction that religious observation was the foolish business of women, or the business of foolish women. But they'd gotten him in the end, Brunetti reflected. The priest had gone into his room in the Ospedale Civile and given the dying Brunetti the last rites, and a mass had been said over his body. Perhaps all of this had been done to console his wife. Brunetti had seen enough of death to know what a great comfort faith can be to those left behind. Perhaps this had been in the back of his mind during one of the last conversations he had with his mother. Well, one of the last lucid ones. She had still been living at home, but already her sons had had to hire the daughter of a neighbor to come and spend the days with her, and then the nights. In that last year, before she had slipped away from them entirely and into the world where she had spent her last years, she had stopped praying. Her rosary, once so treasured, had gone. The crucifix had disappeared from beside her bed, and she had stopped attending Mass, though the young woman from downstairs often asked her if she would like to go. "Not today," she always answered, as if leaving open the possibility of going tomorrow or the next day. She had stuck with this answer until the young woman, and then the Brunetti family, stopped asking. It did not put an end to their curiosity about her state of mind, only to its outward manifestation. As time passed, her behavior became more alarming. She had days when she did not recognize either of her sons, and other days when she did, and talked quite happily about her neighbors and their children. Then the proportion shifted, and soon the days when she knew her sons or remembered that she had neighbors grew fewer. On one of those last days, a bitter winter day 6 years before, Brunetti had gone to see her in the late afternoon for tea and for the small cakes she had baked that morning. It was by chance that she had baked the biscuits. Really, she had been told 3 times that he was coming, but she had not remembered. As they sat and sipped, she described a pair of shoes she had seen in a shop window the day before and had decided she would like to buy. Brunetti, even though he knew she had not been out of her home for 6 months, offered to go and get them for her if she would tell him where the store was. The look she gave him in return was stricken, but she covered it and said that she would prefer to go back herself and try them on to be sure they fitted. She looked down into her teacup after saying that, pretending not to have noticed her lapse of memory. To relieve the tension of the moment, Brunetti had asked out of the blue, "Mamma, do you believe all that stuff about heaven and living on after?" She raised her eyes to look at her younger son, and he noticed how clouded the iris had become. "Heaven?" she asked. "Yes, and God," Brunetti answered. "All that." She took a small sip of tea and leaned forward to set her cup in her saucer. She pushed herself back. She always sat up very straight right to the end. She smiled then, the smile she always used when Guido asked one of his questions, the ones that were so hard to answer. "It would be nice, wouldn't it?" she answered, and asked him to pour her more tea. He felt Paula stop beside him, and he came to a halt, pulled back from memory and suddenly attentive to where they were.